officially into the second half of the year. What I want you to understand, and hear me when I say this, like 6 months is a lot of time. And whatever you have going on, good, bad, indifference in your business right now, as far as sales, revenue, and profit, can change in an instant. And a lot of that starts with how you see what's going on. So if you want to make the second half of your year better than the first half, and you want to start to create momentum into finishing strong this year and into the next year, now is the time to pick up steam. So here's what normally happens to so many people. Let me say this. There's 2 things that I want you to do. One, stay tuned here because I'm going to be helping you throughout this process of revisiting what you've done so far for the year and then continuing on so that you can build the momentum. Also, if you haven't gotten on the wait list for Game On Live, which I need to put a link above the video, but if you haven't gotten on the wait list for Game On Live, you want to do that, because one of the reasons we do Game On Live in November and not in April or the beginning of the year is because it is about you finishing the year strong and creating momentum into the new year. So go to gameonliveevent.com, put your name on the wait list, because we are going to release tickets publicly in about a week. But it's going to start with the people on the wait list. They're going to get first dibs. So far, we have 150 seats available for Game On Live event, and I'm going to tell you what Game On Live event is about in just a second. We have 150 seats maximum available for Game On Live. I know that we're going to sell out. We've had a couple of hundred people, over 200 people at Game On Live each and every year. We've already sold 50 tickets just by marketing in-house and not even talking to anybody publicly. So we haven't even started promoting the event yet, and we're already 50 tickets in. If you know you want to be in the room, it's in Las Vegas, Nevada this year. We're going to be at the Red Rock Casino. They have given us an incredible rate for our clients to stay there. We have all of that taken care of for you. And you want to get like my super secret early bird discount that's only going to be released to the waitlist people, and it's going to be for a period of 7 days. Go to gameonliveevent.com and get yourself on the wait list. So Game On Live event, the premise is that you step into the room, and when you leave, what you're doing is you're blowing your own mind with what's possible in your life and in your business. If you don't know this about me, one of the things that I figured out, took me a long time to get there. I saw somebody do a post the other day she asked, how long did it take you to make your first 6 figures in your business? Now, while I had been a commission salesperson for most of my life, when I really went into business for myself, not working for a mortgage company or connected to people in that way, but really just everything on me, it took me a lot of years. It took about 6 years, probably even 7 if I actually do the months and the math to get there. A lot of people are like, I did it in my first year. I did it in my second year. And the reason why is because I had a lot of junk on the inside of me. And so what I realized is no matter how smart and brilliant I was, no matter that I had already made multiple 6 figures in my life before as a salesperson, when it came to selling for myself, I had a lot of stuff that was working in the undercurrent under the surface. Once I figured out how to start rewiring my brain and working on my inside game, then I started to collapse time around those things. And so here's what I learned, that it doesn't matter the actions that you take. It's who you're being inside of the action that matters most. So when you're taking action, you could be doing all the things, and you may feel this way up until July of this year, that you've been doing all the things you know how to do, but you haven't been able to break the ceiling on the income you normally make, or you haven't been able to get enough clients. What I will tell you is strategy is Googleable. Strategy is readily available, but you cannot pour new wine into old wineskin. So if you don't work on you, it's not likely your strategy is going to work. And so I had a pivotal moment where I realized that my inside game mattered way more than the strategy that I was using. And I tell my clients this all the time: when you get that part right, and until you get that part right, no amount of strategy is going to help you sell more. And when you get it right, you can pretty much almost do, post, and say anything and still hit every last one of your sales goals. And so Game On Live event is designed for you to step into a container where everybody is stretching themselves around who they're being, how people see them, their mindset around money and sales, and the goals that they want to set for themselves. Everybody's stepping in there, playing a much bigger game and desiring to play a much bigger game. And it is designed to start knocking out and eradicating all of your fears, insecurities, doubts, while giving you the strategy that you need to have a simplified business that can make millions of dollars. I'm not about complicated strategies. I'm all about the simple stuff. And one of my giftings is simplifying things and teaching it to people. So at Game On Live event, you're going to get a whole 360-degree view of what it means to be a successful and profitable business owner. So get on the wait list, gameonliveevent.com. Okay, enough about that. I will also put the link in the chat and in and above. I don't have it there right now, but gameonliveevent.com is it. So let's talk about this halfway mark. Like I said, I'm not going to be here long. Okay, so the first thing is I want you to wipe out everything that happened in the first half of the year, except for your successes. So take a look at everything that you've done and see what you have been doing that's been working. So you want to do an assessment first before you move forward, and don't bring any baggage forward with you. If you bring baggage forward, what will happen is you will only create based on what you already created. And if you don't like what you've created already, then it's not going to work. What I want you to understand is you can create, like I said, things can turn around. Just like that, you can create whatever you want. In an instance, it can turn around. But you first have to make a decision that it's possible for you. So if you're already like, I have to catch up because by now I should be at this point, the math doesn't really work. Like in this community, we believe in miracles, right? We believe that money is readily available. All we have to do is tap into that source, right? And so if you're tapping into that source and you're tapping into that frequency and you're doing aligned action that matches the results that you want to create, then you should be able to call in whatever it is you desire without the hustle, the grind, and trying to kill yourself. And you don't have to think about, okay, but if I wanted to make $1 million by now, it should be at $500,000. The year I crossed $1 million for the first time, by the time I had gotten to the second quarter of the year, I had only made like $150,000 that year. That was not on track. On track to make $1 million would have meant, let's say 4 months, 5 months in, I should have already had made $400,000 to $500,000, somewhere close to that. 380 to about $450,000 would have meant that I was on track. If I had let the first half of the year, the first 2 quarters of the year, or the first quarter of the year dictate my emotion and my state in which I was taking action, right? Who you're being inside of the action matters most. If I had let that dictate my state, then what would have happened is I would have been taking action feeling defeated. I would have been taking action with lack, rooted in lack, because I would have been saying, I'm behind. There's no way I'm going to make it, or I need to figure out how I'm going to make up the extra money. I didn't even have to do that. By the time we crossed October, because I was just focused on creating what I desired to create each month moving forward, I had already crossed $1 million. Based on the stats at April and May, there was no way I was going to do it because I was already behind, quote unquote, a couple of $100,000, $200,000 or $300,000 to be on track. Are you tracking with me? Okay. So I want you to release everything that you've already created except for the wins and the positive stuff, right? I want you to pay attention to the wins and the positive stuff because I want you to do more of that and focus. Okay. So one of the things that I want you to do is I want you to take a look at what you did all year and look at what needs to continue. Like, what do you need to start doing in order to create results? And what do I mean by that? We talked about this yesterday with my mastermind. And one of the things that we realize is we're not always taking courageous action. We're taking action. We're taking the action we know how to do. We're taking the action that's comfortable, which is why we create similar results year after year, month after month, week after week. But if you can just do those things that cause you to feel a little bit more discomfort, like straight up asking people to book calls with you, straight up posting about the offers that you have. So many people think, what's the ratio to posting and asking for sales? And I'm always like, if you need sales, if you're trying to fill a program that needs 25 people in it and you have 10, then every day you should be asking for sales, and multiple times a day you should be asking for sales. It's only in those moments where revenue is coming in consistently without you having to do anything where you can take a break, or you're not in a push cycle or a launch cycle. And a push cycle just means you're at a point where you need to close sales because a program is going to start, right? And that could be considered a launch as well. But for those of you who don't technically launch, you just do push marketing for like 30, 45, 60 days. And then you can take a break for a little while, not break from marketing, but a break from asking for sales like every single day. So if you take a look at your social media pages, you take a look at your email list, actually literally go back and look in the last 6 months, how many times did you legitimately ask for business? And when I say legitimately ask for business, tell people this is what you can buy from me. This is how much it is. Here's the next step to get it. And not a sneaky little sly DM me, message me. Those don't really count. Yes, they are calls to action, but they're what I call soft calls to action. You want to make money? You got to tell people exactly how to buy from you and give them the exact instructions on how to do it, because a confused mind always says no. And what happens is a lot of you are educating people, or you're getting them hype about the transformation that they can have in their lives, and they're going and they're buying from the person who's actually offering them the solution to their problem. Buyers with money in hand, who's what you're looking for in your audience, they're already ready to buy. They're looking for the person who's the solution. And so the type of marketing that they're going to respond to is going to be slightly different. So how can you make yourself look more attractive to those who already have money in hand, as opposed to those you are educating to get to that point? Okay. So look at everything. What can you start doing? Is there something that you have in your arsenal that you can start selling? I know for me, a lot of times we create a lot of things and then we don't sell it. We create a course with the intention of selling it and then we don't, right? Can you consistently just push something or put something on autopilot where people could buy that's $1,000 or $500 or whatever the price point may be? That's not something you actively have to sell. Do you have things you have intended to put out there that are maybe even a little bit cheaper or higher? It doesn't matter. What can you start doing that you did not do in the last 6 months that you know would support you to creating the income and the revenue that you desire to create? The next thing that I want you to look at, so we're going to look at what you want to start doing, and then we want to look at what needs to stop. Now, this is not the space where you want to beat yourself up. This isn't about, well, I need to stop spending so much time scrolling on Facebook and I need to stop sleeping in. It's not about beating yourself up. It's just about looking at, sometimes we're using strategies that don't work and we don't pay attention to it. So we are doing things because they feel comfortable for us to do. But if we draw a line to where we get clients from, so this happens with people all the time. They'll get clients from referrals, but they don't actively have an active referral strategy in place. It just happens by happenstance. And then they're doing all this posting and all these reels and all these different things on social media that never really yield them clients, but that's yet where they spend all their time and energy doing photo shoots every month, every quarter. That's not where their clients come from. Now, it's ancillary and it can probably support it. But if you look at where are some things that you can stop doing, right? Are there team members you need to let go because they're redundant in what they're doing inside of your company? Maybe 2 people, or there's crossover with your admin people. There's all kinds of things you can look at. What needs to stop this month that can support you in being more profitable? So look at, again, team members, look at software that you have, and then also look at your own activities. Don't do things just for the sake of doing them. I remember people used to tell me, you need to be on YouTube and you need to be on this. I never went on Clubhouse. I went on there twice. And that was because 2 people wanted to interview me. So I went on there for interviews. It didn't stop my business from crossing $1 million or making multiple millions of dollars. And yet there were people all around the world who were telling you, you got to get on Clubhouse. And some of you guys were on Team No Sleep and were on Clubhouse 24/7, just hanging out and thinking like your big break was going to come from it. And now it's died down. There are people who still use Clubhouse, and there are some people to whom Clubhouse did very well, but it wasn't for everyone. I decided to double down on my platform that I already had working, and I just released the need to even participate and be a part of that, and it worked out in my favor. So you don't have to be everywhere in order for this to work, but you do need to be intentional and consistent on whatever platform you choose to be on. So when you look at what needs to stop, what do you think you can let go on and only let go of, and only do that based on data? Don't let go of something based on a feeling like, oh, I don't like it, so I'm not going to do it. You could let it go because you don't like it, but I would look at the data. What do I do that yields me a result? What do I say, post? What activities do I do that gets me leads, that gets people booking calls? And we want to double down on that and release all the extra fluff that you're doing. Because I guarantee you, if you let the extra fluff go, it's not going to affect your bottom line. And it more than likely will increase your bottom line because it will allow you to focus more in the areas that are yielding you results. So first thing is, what do I need to stop? Second thing is, what do I need to start? And then what needs to pause until profit is back on track. Now, this can be tricky. This can be really tricky because sometimes we think, especially in an economy like we have right now, where we're seeing, it's not across the board, but some of you are experiencing like people being slower to yes, right? And so if people are slower to yes, we think, oh, I need to let all my team go and it needs to just be me. And that's not necessarily the case. What I find is successful companies are typically hiring during down economies in areas that will support them and being able to really attack the most profitable revenue streams and areas in their business. So we're about to bring on our community manager and social seller tomorrow, actually. And so we'll be introducing her to you guys, but it doesn't always mean that you just need to let team go because it feels tight. So just be really careful when you're looking at this area. What needs to pause? What can you stop right now? Is there anything, again, we can look at software, we can look at activities that you do, and it's like, okay, I'll put that off to the side for now. Another tricky area could be whether to do paid advertising or not do paid advertising. And I think if I was a paid advertising person, the only way that I would stop doing that right now, because I actually feel like this is probably a time where paid advertising would work well, and I'll tell you why in a second. But what I would do is look at, does my organic work to support me? So if your organic works to support you, then by all means, pause your paid advertising. But if you look at the numbers and the paid advertising is where you're getting leads and revenue and it's coming from there, then don't stop it. And here's why I think paid advertising can work really well right now. A lot of people are pulling out of the marketplace. And so the person who shows up the most right now in the season that we're going into, the person who is consistent, the people who are consistent, the people who are showing up, because a lot of people are retracting, those are the ones who are going to win at this game. So I want you to understand that when the industry is trying to figure out what to do, so many people go to their journal, right? You go to your journal, you pick it up and you're trying to figure it out, but you're not showing up. And so I don't want that to be you. The second half of the year, think to yourself, how can I be more consistent in the way that I show up? How can I be more consistent in my ask? How can I be more consistent in my offering? How can I be more consistent in letting people know what it is that I do instead of inspirational type post and content? How can I be more consistent in the ratio in which I'm telling people that I'm open for business? So pausing, just be really smart about what you decide to pause. Do it on facts and not feelings. I think there's one more question here that I want you to look at. What needs to be expanded, multiplied, duplicated, or refocused on? And I'm going to share with you an example for us. What needs to be expanded, multiplied, reduplicated, or focused on? So over the years, a lot of business for us has been built two ways. Repeat customers. At one point in time, we had an 80% retention rate in our highest level programs. And then also with referrals. And that was not referrals from like a referral system, but our clients being so hyped about the community that they were a part of and loving their community that they invited their friends to join them here, whether it was in sales school or Next Level Authority Mastermind. And so what we're doubling down on is we're going to create like an alumni community for people who have been a part of Next Level Authority that are not there anymore, just serving people who have contributed to the growth of this community in a way that gives them a way to stay connected to those strong ties that they've built. And then also doubling down on our actual referral system. So you guys will see me start to invite you to be able to become power partners with us, to be able to promote some of the programs that we have, which we will teach you actually how to do that, where you can share us and create another revenue stream for your business. So those are things that we're going to double down on in the coming months, and you'll see us coming up with that. Also, we know that in this next 6 months of the year, our hardcore focus is going to be Game On Live event, and we're going to be working on that. So I want you to do the same thing for yourself. What in your business needs to be expanded because it's working so well? What needs to be multiplied? So I know I need to be multiplied. So we're bringing on somebody else to do selling. And I'll talk about why I did that in just a second. What else needs to be duplicated and what needs to be refocused on? So look at that for yourself. We're refocusing on past clients, bringing people back into the community. We're refocusing on creating a community where people are partnering with us to bring people in. And then I'm duplicating myself. So that needs to be duplicated. So here's what I'm doing. I'm a salesperson. I've been in sales since I was 19 years old. I always knew in my business that sales would be the last thing that I would let go of. I knew that. That was always going to be the case. But I think I waited a bit too long. And it took my realization when I stepped into the last mastermind that I was in. Here's what I realized. I have a real well-oiled filtering machine. And so when people show up to do calls with me, they're usually ready to go. Or we just need to have a conversation to see if it's a good fit for me, see if it's a good fit for them, and then we're able to move forward. But it pretty much screens out and filters anybody based on the content that we have, the application that we have, and the entire authority selling system that we put together that I teach inside of my programs, right? That system is top notch, and it stops you from wasting time on the phone with tire kickers. Stops you from wasting time on the phone with people who aren't ready. It stops you from wasting time on the phone with people who may not be a good match and fit because of the way we set the process up to give them all the information they need before they get there. So by the time they get on the phone, decisions almost made, right? Here's what I realized though, is because my company has grown and I'm really stepping into the CEO role, I was doing more meetings with team and training team and shadowing team and growing team, plus serving the clients that I need to serve in like my leverage programs and then the one-on-one clients that I have as well that are part of the mastermind. And so my time became to be limited where we were only doing sales calls on 1 day a week. If I'm doing sales calls, me only on 1 day a week, we only had about 4 slots every week. I do sales calls on Tuesday. So this is the day that I normally do sales calls because I timed like a mofo. That's just who I am. Then we were limited. So we were bringing hundreds of people into this community, 80, 50 a month, hundreds a quarter into the community, but I only had the ability to talk to 12 in any given month. And it never really dawned on me because I just thought about how well my system worked. When I crossed $1 million, I think that year I did 20 to 25 sales calls. That's all I did that year because my system worked so well. And so my brain was focused there, but then I started looking at missed opportunity. What happened was, I think it was the month of April. Somebody went to book a call with me because I was traveling a lot, April and May, and then was going to be traveling again in June. And they were able to book a call until 3 weeks later because my calendar was blocked. And I was like, oh, shoot. That's what took the blinders off. And I'm like, if I had a full-time person who was dedicated to sales, they could do 3, 4, 5 sales calls every single day because that's all they would be here to do. And that upped the opportunity. So when we looked at the map of how many people were reaching out, people we should be following up with, all of those things, easily, we're looking at another $1 million in revenue by me duplicating myself and removing myself out of the process. And so that is what we're going to be doing. So I'm sharing a little bit of the inside of how we make decisions about what we are duplicating, what we're expanding, and how I make decisions inside of my company as well to do those things, because it's not just about like, do I have the money to pay or not? One of the requirements for our social seller is going to be that they bring in 10 times the amount of their income. So let me show you how this works. If you're paying somebody $3,000 a month to sell for you, remember, I'm a salesperson, been a salesperson all my life. I've managed sales teams for the majority of my life, and I've been a 100% commission person for the majority of my life. It has been rare that I've had like a salary with commission unless I was managing the team or managing the office. If you're paying somebody $3,000 a month to sell, it's not just about them getting that base. What you're expecting them to do, and it could be $3,000 a month plus commission, right? So you're $3,000 a month plus 10% commission or whatever you're going to do on the sales that they make. And so if that's what you're doing in your sales, what you're requiring of them is that they sell $30,000 a month. Doesn't matter what the makeup is, but you want them to bring in 10 times. And that's somebody who's directly related to sales. That way, there's always profitability in the hire. Most people don't have those kind of KPIs and clear distinctions when they bring on somebody that they're duplicating or into a revenue stream or a department in your company that you're trying to expand. We don't think about that kind of stuff. There's also ways where you have people who aren't directly salespeople, but maybe they have client-to-client touch points. So if you have a client care manager whose responsibility is to make sure your clients are happy and who touches clients enough to be able to get clients to re-enroll, refer, do all of those things, that person can also have a KPI that's attached to a sales goal statistic to there. So it wouldn't be 10%, it wouldn't be 30%, maybe it's 10%, right? Or whatever, I'm just making up a number, 10% is easy enough. So if they make $3,000 a month, you're like, hey, we want you to have 36,000, that would be $3,000 a year. So that's like one sale, right? Depending on what your offers are. So it's a way to think about it so that people have buy-in to the growth of the company. All right. So I just thought I would share that. Let me look at chats and see what's going on here. Okay, cool. I'll come back and look at some of those chats and answer some of the questions. So I'm going to go back through these questions just real quick once again so that you have them. We're going to come back again week after week, especially this month. I'm going to be like, this is what we need to do to refocus this year. So that's how we're going to focus this month. Every Tuesday that I come in, we're going to look at another area. We're going to look at focusing on sales. We're going to look at all those things. So I want you to start with these questions this week. Go through them one more time. When you're looking at your company level focus, and we want to revert to the highest income, highest profit, high dollar impact activities, what needs to start? What needs to stop? What needs to pause until profit is back on track? What needs to be expanded, multiplied, duplicated, or refocused on? Okay? What needs to be expanded, multiplied, or duplicated, or refocused on? All right, guys, thanks for hanging out with me today. I'd love to hear what you got out of this exercise. And I want to remind you again that the Game On Live waitlist is about to open soon. So make sure you get yourself on it by going to gameonliveevent.com, because the people on that waitlist are the ones who are going to get first dibs on tickets when we open up. I think right now we have about 50 or so people who are currently on the waitlist. And so it'll open up to them first with a super special early bird discount that won't be publicized. It'll only go to the wait list, and then we'll go public with marketing. So once you see me go public with marketing, that means that opportunity is closed, and then tickets will be, whatever's left will be available for sale. So thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate all of you, and I'll see you next week. Bye. Thank you so much for watching my show, my channel. Here's what I want you to do. If you really love what you've been listening to, I want you to subscribe to my channel and leave me a comment. No, really, leave a comment. Like right now. I'm not gonna stop talking until you leave a comment. Seriously.